Hey everybody, Ben here from the Bonehead Podcast, and welcome to our unboxing episode. We're going to be doing Spike 9, we're going to be doing the Old World Alliance box set, and we're going to be doing the team cards. Unfortunately, due to delivery delays, the pitch wasn't there on time, so we'll have to do that on a separate occasion. But thanks to Entoyment Wargaming in Poole, logo there, great friendly local game store and a really good online retailer as well. So if you're after some toys, please use them and support them because they help us with the show. So thanks to them, we've been able to get our hands on some of these products early so we can do a bit of an unboxing. So we are going to cover the magazine, the Old World Alliance and the team cards. The reason we've got the Old World Alliance box set is because I wanted to see exactly what was in there. We've seen the dwarf miniatures before, we've seen all the miniatures before, but I wanted to see how it came as a box set, so we're going to cover that. Obviously, the most exciting and the biggest impact for Blood Bowl this weekend is Spike 9, so we'll spend a bit of time going through that as well. And I've never picked up a pack of cards, so it seemed like a good opportunity to do so, and we're going to have a look at those as well. So let's have a look. So let's have a look at the magazine then. It is a Games Workshop publication, so it is quite shiny. So I've adjusted the lighting to try and take off the glare wherever possible, but we'll have a look. Yeah, there's the glare straight away. So inside cover is the Old World Alliance box team, basically. The purple, blue and white, and you've got all the mixed players there. It's quite a nice paint job. It would be lovely to see a different team though, wouldn't it? Different colours for this. It's got the classic introduction hosted by a special person. Goes straight into the Chaos Renegade teams. Now the Renegade list has not changed, but it talks about the background there of Chaos Renegades. Then you've got the team roster itself. My favourite part of this publication is this bit here. So for each of the 3 teams that this book covers, you've got a little breakdown of some of the famous teams. Now, there's no colour schemes or anything for it, but that means you can kind of explore it yourself. So that's 12 teams that are detailed here that are kind of inspiring, plus the ones that are detailed in full with regards to them being teams of legend. So that's really cool, and it's good to see if you're a bit of you like the narrative side of Blood Bowl, or you like to build a story for your team, there's plenty of detail there for you. So star players for the Chaos Pact hasn't changed, I don't think. We've got Bomber, Dribblesnot, Helmet Wolf, Gobbler, Grimlick, Guffle, Pussmore, Lewd Grip, Whiparm, Ugroth, Bolgrot, Withergrass, Doubledrew, Morgan Thorg, and Zarg, Mad Eye. You do have Bob Bifford for those of you who are a Golden Era coach. So this is pretty cool. We've got the Mongrel Horde. This is the Team of Legend, or the Hall of Fame team for Chaos Pact. The build is very standard. It's basically got everything. And their special rule is Pure Evil. The Mongrel Horde rose to popularity on reputation for being some of the most evil players ever to take to the pitch. In the early days, this was certainly true. The Horde was a diabolical collection of villains, but with success and notoriety, the player's definition of evil seems to have shifted somewhat. These days, rather than committing unimaginable, atrocious acts, the players prefer to sleep late, skip training, and if possible, miss kick-off to have another beer. During the pre-match sequence before Flip for the Kick, randomly select D3 Mongrel Horde players. The players are for nefarious reasons not on the pitch yet and cannot be set up for the first drive. These players will be available as normal from the second drive onwards. In addition to this, to represent the intimidating nature of the players, the Mongrel Horde gains 1 free bribe inducement at the start of the match. So cool bit of detail there for the Mongrel Horde, and quite a fun little rule. Then we move into the Renegade playbooks. You've got some pretty reasonable player progression advice there. It's got a starting roster for you, so if you're just taking up Chaos Pact, this isn't too bad place to start. I would still recommend looking at the internet, so BB Tactics for your starting roster, but it doesn't do a bad job. Now we've got star player focus. We've got Ugroth Bolgrot, which I think is the first time we've seen art for him. I may be wrong, but not bad. I'd like to see the model for that one come out. Bit of dirt from the dugout, which we're not going to worry about too much. And then we've got the background for Underworld Denizens, which is really cool. They've even got a bit up here about talking about who the first Underworld team was. It's good bit of background, a good bit of fluff there for you if you like your stories. And again, we've got detail on 4 different teams here: the Dragon Crag Dirtbags, the Cragmere Critters, the Grim Squeakers, and the Green Destroyers, and some of those I think are from older fluff. I think the Green Destroyers is it's just, again, really cool to see some background. It kind of inspires you to want to run these teams. And then you've got the roster itself, which we've covered in detail on episode 46 of the podcast, which we did a live stream of Wednesday, and you can just listen to the podcast when it comes out on Saturday morning. But we cover the changes to Underworld, which is, of course, that we've lost a thrower and a blitzer, and it's been replaced with a gutter runner and another lineman. So quite a change. Star players, again, I don't think anything exciting has changed. No new star players for these guys. Then we've got the background for the Underworld Creepers, which is the box art, or the Hall of Fame team, the black and red armor. Again, more fluff is more better, so it's always nice to see the backgrounds. Then we've got the roster, and the roster is pretty chunky at 2 million. I'm a big fan of the gutter runner, fast draw Ogre, block dodge, sidestep 2, heads. That's never bad on a gutter runner. So let's have a look at their special rule. If the Underworld Creepers are notorious for anything, it's for being a horrific collection of mutants, Skaven and goblins that produce a terrible stink. They're also renowned for not getting along very well as a team. One of the biggest reasons fans flock to see them is the endless infighting that often makes the dugout more entertaining than the pitch. So here's their special rule. If the Underworld Creepers score is lower than their opponents at any of their turns, at the end of any of their turns, roll a d6 and add the difference in scores. For example, if the score is 3-1, add 2 to the result. If the total is 5 or more, a fight breaks out in their dugout. Roll a d6 for each player in the reserves box, and a 1, 2 or 3, they're knocked out. The fans love these scrapes. It's half the reason the Creepers have any fans at all, and their cheering drives the rest of the team to play even harder. For each player that is knocked out this way, the team gains a bonus reroll. And then we've got the tactics part for the Underworld teams. Again, more cool art. It's kind of cartoony this entire issue, but it comes together well, and it's quite a good publication. You've got details here for building an Underworld team, so some advice on player progressions. I see lots and lots of mutations being mentioned, and quite frankly, that is kind of where you want to be with an Underworld team. Then we've got a star player spotlight for Glart Smash Rip. We've got Chat with the Rat. And then it goes into Old World Alliance. So I really enjoy the art for this. It's very colourful. I think it pretty much shows off animosity quite well. I think lots of people have pointed that out from looking at some of the spoilers. And I think it's absolutely right. A couple of cool things to mention in the fluff here. Up here, that's right. You see the word Street Bowl. As ever more such amateur leagues sprung up, the nature of the game they played evolved through necessity. Street Bowl soon became a common variant. So it'd be interesting to see if Games Workshop go through and bring out any rules for Street Bowl. And it talks through the fact that there are more and more mixed teams and things. And it says, in this way, it is fair to say the Old World Alliance teams are indicative of the changing face of Blood Bowl in the recent years. I'm going to harp about it again. We've got details here for 4 teams. You've got the Nuln Doomforgers, the Avaland All-Stars, the Hoffenheim Harlequins, and the Champions of Law. Now, the Champions of Law, I think, are from first edition. So it's really cool to see, again, more of these backgrounds for other teams. It is probably one of the most inspirational things about this whole publication, is that you've got some details there on teams that you yourself as players and as coaches can flesh out. Then you've got the roster. Now, we talked about this in detail on the podcast, so do have a quick look and jump in and listen to the podcast, because we do talk about what's good to take and things like that. And I'm sorry to say, no new star players. Now we've got the Middenheim Maulers, which is the Hall of Fame team for the Old World Alliance. It's got linemen, throwers, catchers. It's basically got one of everything in the team, which is very cool. Some of them are skilled up, some of them aren't. This one only comes in at 1,700 TV, so only 1.7 million, where the other teams are around about 2 million. It seems a bit strange to leave a bit of a difference there. And the special rule for the Middenheim Maulers is the Middenheim Arena. The home stadium of the Middenheim Maulers, formerly home to the Marauders, is the Middenheim Arena. This famous landmark of the north boasts one of the oldest astrogranite pitches in the old world. Sadly for visiting teams, the surface was installed several years before astrogranite was perfected, so it's arguable that the surface is just made of plain old granite. At the start of any game in which the Maulers play, roll a d6. On a 1 to 3, the game is played on a normal Blood Bowl pitch. On a 4 or more, the game is played at the Middenheim Arena. For the duration of the game, apply +1 modifier to all armor rolls made when a player is knocked down. In addition, the Maulers enjoy huge support from the Middenheimers, therefore the Maulers gain +1 fame. Then we see some tactics and advice for Old World Alliance, which is interesting to see. They've got 2 different builds, and they suggest you can go either muscle or finesse. I think the finesse one involves more dodging, and you've got the catcher, you've got the halfling builds. This one goes heavy on block. You've got some player progression, but the key is, and it summarises it here right at the bottom, probably better than anything, an Old World Alliance team offers more choice than any other. However, there is a danger of becoming too focused on a single style of play, creating weaknesses that can be exploited. Over time, diversity can be added to the starting roster, and a coach can build a true all-star alliance. And we've got some more star player bits. We've got Helmet Wolf, we've got Coffin Corner, and then it fills out with Creek Gouger, Hackflem Shuttle Spike, even more star players. We've got Skidder Stab, Carla Von Keel, Mighty Zug, Grim Ironjaw, and then Nobbler Blackwart, both the chainsaws, and Flint Churnblade, which has got very cool art. And like I said right at the beginning, the back page is just a very well painted box art for Underworld. So that is the magazine. So let's have a look at the Middenheim Maulers Old World Alliance Blood Bowl team. We've got 15 Citadel miniatures in this team. You get your standard leaflet, and it's quite a bit chunkier than the rest because obviously there's a whole host of players for you to build, but it is just the same as all other publications. And we've got the Old World Alliance team transfer sheet here. You've got a transfer for every positional, including the Ogre, but only enough for 3 human linemen, which makes sense. There's only 3 in the box, obviously, but I think you're going to need more human linemen moving forward. And to the miniatures themselves. So we've all seen these models before. You get 1 sprue of dwarves. You get 1 sprue of humans. Again, you've seen these. They are great models, but we have had those for years. And you get 1 sprue of 3 halflings. So this is what I was interested to find out when getting this team, is how many halflings you get, because you can only take 2 on the roster, and which ones you get. So you get the dude with the arm up in the air, you got the running one with the ferret, which is great, and the one standing around with the ball. So I'm going to assume it's the same 3 halflings in all the boxes, and you do get a bit of variety with the heads. You get the Gordon Ramsay head, which is obviously the most famous of all the halfling players. It's cool to see an extra sprue chucked in there for this team. I like that. You do have a few redundancies, so you're going to end up with 1 spare halfling player. That could be fun. You could paint him up as Puggy. You could do him a bit of converting there. Or you can just, I don't know, try a paint scheme, use him for something else. And one thing to mention on the dwarves before we move on is that you do get 3 dwarf blockers, and you are only eligible for 2 in the team. So you will end up with 1 spare dwarf blocker, dwarf lineman. And like I said, with the halfling, you can do anything with him. Try a paint scheme, convert him into a star player. It's not bad, actually. It's quite a good way round doing it. And now we'll have a look at the team card pack. So this is actually the first card pack I've picked up. I think it's because when I went to buy the team and things, there wasn't any dice. So my order felt a little bit on the light side. So I thought, why not pick up a card pack? There's a lot of positionals for this team. It could come in handy. So let's have a look inside. Okay, card-wise, you get a little guide here on how to use these cards. You get 10 player reference cards, 10 star player cards, and 17 player/league cards, which we'll get to in the end. So that's that card. You get human lineman, and you get human lineman stat cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. So 5 human linemen. You get 1 thrower and 1 thrower template, 1 catcher and 1 catcher template, 1 human blitzer and 1 human blitzer template with your completions and everything like that. That's quite good. You get 2 dwarf blockers. You get the 1 dwarf runner. You get the 1 dwarf blitzer. And of course the slayer as well. 2 halfling cards. And your Old World Alliance ogre there with a very lovely paint job. And the card. So what else do we get? We get star player cards for Barrack Farblast, for Flint Churnblade, Griff Oberwald, Grim Ironjaw, Helmet Wolf, Carla Von Keel, Morgan Thorg, Mighty Zug, Puggy Bacon Breath, and Bob Bifford the Biff. And now we've got some fancy cards. So let's flip it over. You've got the match record card at the end for your roster. Special play, magical, benefits of training. So 3 training and 3 magic items. So first magic item is Short Fuse. Play this card when a player on your team is knocked down by a block thrown by an opposing player. On a d6, 1 to 3, nothing happens. On a 4, 5 or 6, the player that threw the block is also placed prone. So if someone blitzes you or knocks you down, you can take them down with you. Not halfling bad. What an effort. Who says you need to be more than 4 feet tall to play Blood Bowl? Timing. Play this card when activating a player with the stunty skill to perform any action. Effect. For the duration of this action, this player may add 1 to either their movement, strength or agility. When acting a player with the stunty skill to perform an action. So you can blitz with the halfling at strength 3. Or use the boost to the agility to help him land on a 3+. Oh, the humanity. Did you see that? Such a brutal foul and such nonchalance too. I'm most impressed. Play this card when a player in your team makes a foul action. Okay, so you're fouling with one of your guys. You can add 1 to either the armor roll or injury. This modifier may be applied after the dice roll has been made. So basically mighty blow for fouling. Additionally, this player's action does not have to end once the foul has been made. If you wish, and if this player has not used their full movement allowance, they can continue. So that's quite cool. So you kind of get a blitz foul. Everlasting Yard of Ale. Local legend tells of a yard of ale without end. Imagine an endless ale. What a wonder to behold. Timing. Play during the pre-game sequence after teams have been set up before placing the ball. Okay, so right at the beginning of the game. Select one of your players. For the duration of this whole game, that player gains Dauntless, Frenzy, Really Stupid, and Wrestle. Another one that I think, wouldn't be bad for the halfling. Using Stunty and Dodge to blitz in there. You've got Dauntless, you've got Frenzy, and you've got Wrestle. Could be useful. You've got Carvery Dinner. Apparently the Carvery Dinners at the local pub have magical healing abilities. Timing. Play during the pre-game sequence after teams have been set up but before placing the ball. Select one of your players. For the duration of this game, that player gains the regeneration skill. Okay, so that could be useful for anybody really. And the last one is quite brilliant. Did that player just throw a hoop of rope? Yes, and with such precision. Play this card when an opposing player dodges after the roll has been made but before any re-rolls are taken. Okay, so your opponent has failed a dodge roll. The effect, the result of the dodge is immediately reduced by 2. Okay, so kind of like diving tackle style. And there you have it. That is our unboxing for this weekend. It's a shame we couldn't get our hand on the pitch, but that was a logistical issue. So these things happen. We've seen all the Games Workshop pitches before and they've been pretty great. So as soon as we get our hands on this one, should be early next week, I'll pop up a little review on that probably. So it's not the most impactful Spike magazine with regards to additional bits. There's no new star players, there's no new inducements, but there is a new team and there is quite a big change to one of the teams in the Underworld. And I just want to quickly mention again that if you want more details on the rosters and the impact that's had, then listen to the podcast that's coming out on Saturday this week. In fact, the live version's already up and out there. That's episode 46, where we're going to talk about Spike 9 teams. So if you're interested in more about how the teams play and how to build them, please swing by there and have a listen to that. In the meantime, with a final thank you to Entoyment, I'm going to sign off and I will see you on Sunday.